Ooh, what's this? Plots of land from the 1800s? Wait, I have an idea. I need picture frames. I'm gonna make my picture frames out of walnut. I flatten one side on the joiner and then cut them in half on the bandsaw so I get two pieces from this one board. A trip through the planer cleans up the other side. Now that I have all my pieces rough milled, I'm going to cut them on the table saw at 1.5 inches wide. Now that our pieces are cut to width, I'm going to cut a slight bevel on one side. That way, whenever we put the pieces together, you're going to see that bevel carry from one side and down the other. We cut our bevel detail on one side. I'm going to cut the rabbet on the back side to house our picture. I like to make my rabbets about 3/8 of an inch deep and about 1/4 inch over from the edge. I switched over to a ripping blade because it has a flat bottom grind. That way I can just make a couple quick passes over the table saw and our rabbet will be done. We cut all the rabbets on our pieces, so now we're going to cut them the final length so we can assemble our picture frame. To do that, I'm going to use this picture frame making jig. I saw David Picciuto make this. He has a great video that outlines exactly how he put this together. So I'm going to put a link of that in the description below. In essence, it's a piece of plywood with a ruler that is cut in half, and then it's put together at a 45-degree angle to the blade. That allows you to cut one piece of your picture frame, move it over to the other side, and butt it against the stop lock that has a sliding feature. And then you can cut the other side. So what's great about this jig is you can quickly batch out pieces. My frame is going to hold artwork that is 11 by 8.5, so I set my jig to those measurements and then cut my pieces. The miters were glued together and held with painter's tape until the glue dried. I let the picture frame dry overnight. Now, without any sort of reinforcement, these miters are pretty weak. You can do a couple things. You can either put something internally, such as a loose mortise tenon, a domino. You could shoot some pin nails into it to hold it, or you can do what I'm going to do, which is put splines. So I have a spline jig here. It rides on my table saw fence, so I can put the picture frame into the jig, ride it over the blade, and it's going to cut a groove for me so that I can insert my splines. I cut the grooves for the splines on each corner of the frame. And then I milled some maple till it was thin enough to fit into the groove. I cut the splines on the bandsaw and then glued them into place. While the glue was drying, I cut the glass for my frame. I measured the width, and with a straight edge, I used a glass cutting wheel to score the glass. You can get these at any big box store. There's a ball on one end which you place under your scored mark. Then with equal pressure on both sides, you snap your glass in half. Once the glue is dry, I used the bandsaw to cut the splines, and then took them to the disc sander to remove most of the waste. Picture frames require a sneaky amount of sanding, and most of this can't be done with the orbital sander, so I had to do it by hand. I used mineral spears to clean up the frame, and then applied min wax wipe-on poly. Now that our frame is dry, we can put in the glass that we cut earlier, and then also our artwork. So we have the hardboard that we cut earlier, drop that right in. And now we need to hold the backer board in place. So a couple ways you can do this. You can use like brad nails and just hammer those in. I have a point driver. So these are a little pricey. They're about $70 at Hobby Lobby or Michael's, but you can get one of those coupons and get it for a lot less than that. These things are fantastic if you make a lot of picture frames. There are two different types of points that you would drive in. There's rigid ones and then flexible ones. So if you plan on removing the back and changing out the artwork from time to time, buy the flexible ones. So they actually let you bend the tab up to pull the backer out. If you use the rigid ones, after a couple times of bending it, they'll just break off. I've made that mistake. So there you have it. Absolutely love the way it turned out. This was a gift for my wife that she doesn't know about. What I put in here was the blueprints from our house in Virginia. And that meant a lot to us. It's where we started a family. It's where we had our son at. So it just means a lot that I can look at that and I can see where all these critical milestones happened. And I can look at this picture and know this is where he took his first steps. Or this is where we remodeled this bathroom when we didn't know what we were doing. So all those things that you have whenever you are starting off as a new family. I hope this video shows that making picture frames doesn't have to be difficult and you can provide a lot of character to it and really make it your own. If you like this sort of content, please subscribe. I try to put out a video about once a week. And until next time, thanks for watching.